Xiao Zhang had always believed that love was like his grandmother's soup, something that needed time, patience, and just the right amount of courage to taste. Unfortunately, his life in Shanghai was nothing like that slow, comforting simmer. It was loud, rushed, and usually smelled more like instant coffee than warm home cooking. As a food photographer for the magazine Taste and Tale, his job sounded dreamy to outsiders, but in reality it mostly involved chasing sunlight, arguing with impatient chefs, and pretending he understood the difference between 5 kinds of soy sauce. That morning began like a badly written comedy. His alarm didn't ring, the neighbor's cat stole the toast he had carefully buttered, and his editor Mei Lin sent a voice message so long and terrifying that he considered changing his name and moving to another country. The main point of her speech was simple: find a new restaurant for the summer edition or prepare to be professionally buried. While riding the crowded metro, Jean remembered a name he had heard repeatedly over the past month: Luo's Kitchen. People spoke about it as if it were not a restaurant but a secret society. Rumor said the owner kept a legendary recipe that could make even a broken heart feel full again. The problem was that the owner hated journalists more than burnt rice. When Jean finally stood in front of the place, he wondered if his map had betrayed him. The building was small and old, the wooden door slightly crooked, and the signboard looked as tired as a man who had worked too many night shifts. Yet the aroma escaping from inside was powerful enough to make him forget his doubts: ginger, white pepper, and something warm that reminded him of winter coats and childhood afternoons. Behind the counter stood a young woman wearing a yellow apron. Her hair was tied carelessly, and there was a line of flour on her cheek like a small white scar. She looked at him with the expression of someone deciding whether the visitor was a customer or a future criminal. "We're not open yet," she said. "I'm not here to eat," Jean replied, then immediately realized how stupid that sounded. "I mean, I will eat later, happily, but I'm actually a photographer from..." "A reporter," she interrupted with sharp suspicion. "A food photographer," he corrected, offering his most professional smile, the one that usually melted the coldest hearts. Strangely, her face remained unchanged. Her name was Linen, daughter of the owner who was currently ill. She explained, in a voice as firm as uncooked noodles, that her father had forbidden any interview about the family recipe. "That recipe is not news material," she said. "It's like a member of our family." Jean felt his mission collapsing like an overcooked dumpling. But before he could retreat with dignity, an elderly man stepped out from the kitchen carrying a heavy pot. His face was pale yet gentle. This was Mr. Lin, the legend himself. "You are the photographer?" he asked softly. "You may take photos. But only if you help in the kitchen for a week first." Jean nearly dropped his camera. He, the man who once managed to burn water while boiling eggs, was being invited into a professional kitchen? Mei Lin's angry voice echoed in his head, and against all survival instincts he nodded. His first day was a festival of disasters. He chopped onions like they had offended his ancestors, sending pieces flying in every direction. Lin watched him with an expression caught between laughter and despair. "The knife is not your enemy," she said. "Treat it like a friend." "My friends are not this dangerous," Jean muttered, and to his surprise she let out a small laugh. It was the first time he saw her smile, and it felt strangely like receiving an award he didn't deserve. Between the chaos, he began taking photographs, the steam rising from pots, Mr. Lin's trembling but skillful hands, and of course Lin's serious face. Every time the camera pointed at her, she turned away. "I don't like being photographed," she complained. "The camera is in love with you," Jean answered before his brain could stop his mouth. Realizing he sounded like a cheap movie hero, he quickly pretended to clean his lens. That night, after closing time, Mr. Lin handed him a simple bowl of clear soup with tofu and vegetables. "Taste it." The flavor made the world quiet. There was sweetness, salt, and a warmth that traveled directly to his chest. Jean almost forgot to breathe. "This is what people call the secret recipe," Mr. Lin said. Not the spices. But remembering someone while you cook. Those words stayed with Zhang longer than the taste on his tongue. He went home feeling as if he had discovered a hidden room inside his own life. The following days were filled with beautiful chaos. Zhang once dropped an entire bag of flour, turning the kitchen into a snow scene. Another time he nearly set a pan on fire, causing Lin to chase him with a wet towel like a warrior waving a flag. Yet beneath all the laughter, something unexplainable began to grow. The way Lin tucked her hair behind her ear, the gentle voice she used when speaking to her father, even the way she scolded Zhang and ended it with a helpless sigh, all of it was recorded not only by his camera but also by something deeper. One rainy evening the electricity suddenly died. They had to close early. In the dim kitchen lit by a single candle, Zhang saw Mr. Lin sitting tiredly. The recipe might end with my generation, the old man whispered. And never truly wanted to inherit this place. Zhang looked toward the front room where Lin was counting money with a serious face. For the first time he noticed the thin layer of sadness she carried. Before leaving, she gave him an umbrella. Don't come too early tomorrow, she said. I need some peace before facing the chaos called Xiao Zhang. He laughed. So I'm allowed to come again? Unfortunately, yes. Walking under the rain, he remembered Mr. Lin's words about cooking while thinking of someone. Without meaning to, he wondered whose face would appear in his mind if he ever cooked. The answer came without effort. The girl with flour on her cheek and eyes as sharp as kitchen knives. The second week at Luo's kitchen began with the smell of rain and burnt pancakes. Xiao Zhang was responsible for the second part. He stared at the blackened circles on the pan as if they were victims of a tragic accident. I followed your instructions exactly, he defended himself while Lin examined the disaster scene. My instructions were low heat, not volcano mode, she replied, trying hard not to smile. She failed. Despite the constant teasing, Zhang was slowly becoming part of the rhythm of the restaurant. He learned how to wash vegetables without flooding the sink, how to carry bowls without looking like a nervous bride, and most importantly, how to survive Lin's sharp tongue. Customers started recognizing him as the tall photographer boy, a title he accepted with unnecessary pride. Some even asked him for menu recommendations, which he gave confidently although he still couldn't tell coriander from parsley. One afternoon Mei Lin visited unexpectedly, wearing heels so loud they sounded like drumbeats announcing war. She inspected the restaurant like a general checking a battlefield. So this is the legendary place, she said, eyes shining with business ambition. Zhang, I expect miracles from you. Lin watched her like a cat observing an unfamiliar dog. The air between the two women became instantly cold. My father allowed photos, not commercialization, and said. Mei Lin smiled the smile of someone who had defeated many enemies before breakfast. Everything in this world can be commercialized, dear. Even memories. Zhang felt trapped between two storms. After Mei Lin left, and spent the rest of the day chopping vegetables with unnecessary violence, each slice sounding like a small act of revenge. That evening Mr. Lin asked Zhang to help clean the storage room. Among dusty boxes they found an old notebook wrapped in cloth. The pages were filled with handwritten recipes and small drawings of flowers. My wife's handwriting, Mr. Lin murmured, touching the paper gently. She created the secret soup after and was born. Said she wanted a flavor that felt like a mother's hug. Zhang noticed how the old man's eyes became wet but proud at the same time. He suddenly understood that this restaurant was not only a business but a living memory. Later, while arranging tables, Zhang asked An why she didn't want to inherit the place. Because dreams can be prisons, she answered without looking at him. Everyone expects me to continue this story, but no one asks what story I want. Her honesty hit him harder than any dramatic confession. For a moment he forgot to be funny. That night a group of rude customers arrived just before closing. They complained about everything: the temperature of the soup, the size of the dumplings, even the shape of the chairs. Jean tried to stay calm, but when one man mocked Mr. Lin's shaking hands, something inside him exploded. "If you don't respect the cook, you don't deserve the food," he said, voice surprisingly firm. Silence fell. Lin looked at him with wide eyes. The customers left angrily, promising bad reviews and eternal hatred. "You just scared away half our income," and whispered after they were gone. "Sorry," Jean replied, suddenly terrified of his own bravery. To his surprise, she started laughing, a real loud laugh that filled the empty restaurant. "You're an idiot," she said, "but a brave idiot." From that day their relationship changed. They began sharing late dinners after closing time, talking about stupid childhood dreams and embarrassing school memories. Jean confessed he once wanted to be a singer but was rejected because he looked too gentle for heartbreak songs. And admitted she secretly wrote poetry she never dared to show anyone. Meanwhile, Mei Lin kept pressuring Jean for exclusive material. She wanted the secret recipe revealed in the magazine, promising fame and money. Jean felt torn between professional duty and the growing loyalty he felt toward the Lin family. One night he overheard a phone conversation between An and a property developer. The man offered a huge amount to buy the restaurant building. Anne's voice trembled while refusing. After the call, she noticed Jean standing nearby. "You heard everything?" she asked. He nodded. "The world is trying to swallow us," she said quietly. "And I don't know how long we can fight." Jean wanted to say something heroic, something worthy of movie scripts, but all he managed was, "I'm not very good at fighting, but I can stay." For a long time she just looked at him, and in that silence something invisible tied them closer. The episode ended with a festival approaching, the busiest season for Luo's kitchen. Mr. Lin insisted on cooking the secret soup himself despite his weakening health. And worried, Mei Lin planned a grand feature, and Jean stood in the middle like a man holding two fragile bowls. He realized that he had come to the restaurant searching for a story. But somehow the story had begun to rewrite him instead. The festival week arrived like an uninvited storm, beautiful from afar, terrifying up close. Red lanterns decorated the street outside Luo's kitchen, and the smell of grilled meat and sweet rice cakes floated through the air. For most businesses it was a celebration, but for the Lin family it felt more like a final examination written by destiny. Xiao Zhang had never seen the restaurant so busy. Orders flew in like impatient birds, and he ran between tables carrying bowls with the concentration of a bomb technician. At one point he accidentally bowed to a chair instead of a customer, which made Lin laugh so hard she nearly dropped a tray. "You're evolving," she teased. "From disaster level to acceptable chaos." "I live to impress you," he answered dramatically, earning a light kick under the counter. Mr. Lin insisted on preparing the secret soup personally for the festival opening. His hands trembled more than before, and Anne watched him with worry disguised as anger. "You should rest," she said for the 10th time. "And you should smile more," he replied gently. "Both of us are terrible at following advice." Jean documented everything with his camera, the boiling pots, the sweating cooks, and tying her apron like a soldier preparing for battle. Yet behind the lens he felt an uneasy fear, as if the joyful noise was only a thin curtain hiding something fragile. Mei Lin arrived in the afternoon with a small team, turning the humble restaurant into a battlefield of flashing lights. She pulled Jean aside. "I need the recipe, not just pretty photos," she whispered. "If we publish it first, this place will become legendary overnight." "It's not my secret to steal," Jean answered, surprising even himself. She looked at him as if he had betrayed their professional marriage. "Since when did you become the guardian of family values?" "Since I started caring about them," he thought but didn't dare to say. That evening, while arranging chairs outside, Jean discovered an old photo fallen behind a cabinet. It showed a young woman, beautiful, gentle, with the same eyes as Lin standing beside Mr. Lin in front of the restaurant years ago. On the back was written, "For the day our daughter believes in flavors more than fears." He showed it to An later. Her face turned pale. "That's my mother," she whispered. "She died before I learned how to cook." For the first time she spoke about the past. Her mother had created the secret soup during a difficult winter when the restaurant was almost bankrupt. People said the flavor carried hope, and soon customers returned. After her death, the recipe became both a treasure and a ghost haunting the family. "I'm afraid I can never cook like her," An admitted, voice shaking. "Everyone tastes the soup and looks for my mother, not for me." Zhang wanted to hug her but settled for handing a tissue, which felt safer and less likely to cause a heart attack. On the third night of the festival, disaster finally knocked on the door wearing expensive shoes. The property developer, Mr. Gao, arrived with a group of investors. He ordered 10 bowls of the secret soup and announced loudly that soon this entire street would be turned into a modern mall. Mr. Lin's hand froze above the pot. The restaurant went silent except for the boiling broth. "We are not selling," An said firmly. "Everything has a price, young lady," Gao smiled. "Even memories expire." Zhang felt anger rising like bad dough. Without thinking he stepped forward. "Then your taste must be expired too," he said, immediately realizing he had just insulted a very rich man. And stared at him in horror and admiration mixed together. Gao left promising legal letters and future trouble. After the door closed, Mr. Lin suddenly collapsed onto a chair. The stress had been too much. And rushed to him, tears finally breaking through her strong mask. At the hospital later that night, doctors said he needed rest and possibly surgery. The festival would have to continue without him. And sat in the corridor looking smaller than Zhang had ever seen her. He bought 2 terrible vending machine coffees and handed her one. "I don't know how to replace him," she whispered. "You don't have to replace anyone," Zhang answered softly. "Maybe the recipe needs a new memory." She looked at him with red eyes. In that moment the noisy world outside disappeared. The next morning An decided she would cook the secret soup herself for the first time. The entire neighborhood seemed to hold its breath. Zhang stood beside her in the kitchen, reading the old notebook while she followed each line like a sacred poem. Her hands shook, but not from weakness, from courage. When the first bowl was served, an elderly customer tasted it and closed his eyes. Seconds felt like years. "It tastes," the man paused, "like spring returning." And burst into tears and laughter at the same time. Zhang secretly took a photo, knowing he had captured not just an image but the birth of something new. That night, after the crowd finally left, An and Zhang sat on the rooftop above the restaurant. Lanterns glowed like small moons. "Thank you for staying," she said. "I told you," he replied, "I'm not good at fighting, but I'm excellent at not leaving." She smiled, and for a heartbeat the distance between them became dangerously small. Yet far below, unseen by both, Mr. Gao was speaking on the phone, planning the next move to claim Luo's kitchen, by force if necessary. Love was slowly blooming. But so was the coming storm. The city looked different after Mr. Lin was admitted to the hospital. The streets were still noisy, the festival lights still shining, yet for Xiao Zhang everything felt slightly tilted, like a photograph taken with unsteady hands. Luo's kitchen continued to open, but the soul of the place seemed to be breathing through a thin straw. Lin became both captain and crew of the small ship. She woke before sunrise, prepared ingredients, greeted customers with a brave smile, and collapsed quietly after closing time. Zhang watched her transform from a guarded daughter into a determined woman, and the process scared him more than any angry investor. "You don't have to carry the entire universe on your shoulders," he told her one morning while peeling potatoes. "Someone has to," she answered, eyes focused on the knife. "And you're terrible with heavy things." He pretended to be offended, though they both knew it was true. Mei Lin kept calling like a persistent thunderstorm. She demanded exclusive photos of the new, daughter version, of the secret soup, as she dramatically called it. Zhang avoided her with the skill of a professional coward, but guilt followed him like a loyal dog. One afternoon a formal letter arrived, legal notice from Mr. Gao's company claiming ownership rights to the building and accusing the restaurant of violating safety regulations. And read it silently, then laughed in disbelief. "So the war has officially started," she said. Zhang felt useless holding the paper as if it were a poisonous insect. "We'll fight," he declared with more confidence than he possessed. "With what?" "Your camera. I can hit people with the tripod," he suggested. She almost smiled. That evening they visited Mr. Lin at the hospital. The old man looked smaller among the white sheets, yet his eyes were still warm. "Don't be afraid of change," he told An. "Your mother's recipe was born from fear too." After they left the room, An suddenly grabbed Zhang's sleeve. "There's something in the notebook," she whispered. "A page I never understood." Back at the restaurant they opened the old recipe book again. Between 2 pages was a folded letter written by Anne's mother. The ink had faded but the words were clear: "The true ingredient is not listed. It is the person who cooks while loving someone." Zhang felt his heart behave irresponsibly. "Maybe the soup tastes different because you changed," he said. "Or because you keep distracting me," she replied, trying to sound annoyed and failing. Their routine grew more intimate without permission. Zhang learned how An liked her tea too strong, how she secretly hated mushrooms, how she hummed old songs when nervous. And discovered that Zhang talked to his camera when worried and that he was afraid of elevators but pretended otherwise. One rainy night they were trapped inside the restaurant after closing. The power went out again, leaving only candlelight. And decided it was the perfect moment to experiment with a new version of the soup. "You're using me as a test subject," Zhang accused. "Consider it a scientific sacrifice." While the broth simmered, they talked about dreams they had abandoned. Zhang confessed he once photographed a wedding and imagined his own future bride so clearly that he panicked and dropped the lens. Clumsy even in fantasies, and teased softly. The soup finished cooking. She handed him the first bowl with nervous hands. He tasted it slowly, pretending to be a serious judge. "Well?" she asked. "It tastes like..." He searched for words, like someone trying to be brave. Her eyes became suspiciously shiny. Before either could escape the emotion, the door banged open. Mei Lin entered with an umbrella like a dramatic villain in a play. "I came to rescue my photographer," she announced, then noticed the candles, the soup, the two of them sitting too close. Her eyebrows rose higher than the moon. "Am I interrupting a culinary romance?" "No," they answered at the same time, which of course sounded like a very loud yes. Mei Lin revealed that Mr. Gao planned to announce the redevelopment project publicly within a week. If the magazine published a powerful feature about Luo's kitchen before that, public opinion might protect the restaurant. "But I need your full cooperation," she said to him. And looked at Zhang, torn between distrust and hope. Finally she nodded. The next days turned into a storm of interviews, photos, and endless bowls of soup. Zhang captured and working with a seriousness that made his chest ache. He realized he no longer wanted just to tell their story, he wanted to stay inside it. One late evening, while arranging photos on his laptop, he found an image he had taken accidentally, and watching him from the kitchen doorway, expression soft and unguarded. It looked dangerously like love. He closed the screen quickly as if the photo might expose his secret to the entire universe. Outside, Mr. Gao's banners announcing the new Golden Plaza began to appear on the street. The battle was reaching its final stage. And in the middle of all the noise, Xiao Zhang understood one terrifying truth. He was no longer falling for a recipe, but for the girl who cooked it. The banners of New Golden Plaza multiplied on the street like arrogant red flowers, each one reminding Luo's kitchen that the future was knocking with greedy fists. Xiao Zhang hated those banners with unreasonable passion. He even considered tripping while carrying a bowl of soup just to accidentally decorate one with noodles. Linen, however, fought in a quieter way. She worked harder, smiled brighter at customers, and cooked as if every bowl were a letter sent to the universe begging for mercy. The restaurant became busier than ever, partly because of Mei Lin's magazine article that portrayed the place as the last guardian of old Shanghai flavors. Zhang's photographs filled the pages, steam shaped like dreams, and focused eyes, Mr. Lin holding her hand at the hospital. The story spread online, and suddenly Luo's kitchen was no longer just a small restaurant but a symbol. Mr. Gao did not enjoy symbols. He arrived one afternoon with lawyers dressed like expensive umbrellas. They announced a public hearing to discuss the future of the neighborhood. Everyone understood it was simply a stage prepared to execute the restaurant politely. "We'll go," An said after reading the notice. "And we'll speak. With words or with soup?" Zhang asked, trying to lighten the mood. "With both." Meanwhile, Mr. Lin returned home from the hospital, weaker but stubborn as an old tree refusing to fall. He insisted on sitting near the kitchen, watching and cook. "She moves like her mother now," he whispered to Zhang. "But she hides her heart better." Zhang wondered if he was also hiding his heart, or if it was already running around the restaurant without his permission. The night before the hearing, An asked him to help close the shop. They ended up sitting on the cold floor, surrounded by the smell of ginger and memories. "If we lose this place," she said suddenly, "what will you do?" "Open a photography studio named The Girl Who Ruined My Career," he joked. She hit his arm lightly, then became serious. "I'm scared." The confession sounded heavier than any legal threat. Zhang wanted to say 1,000 brave sentences but only managed, "I'm here." Their hands were close enough to touch, and for a dangerous second the world narrowed to that small distance. The door creaked, ruining the moment with perfect comic timing. Mr. Lin stood there pretending he had not seen anything. "Tomorrow," the old man said, "we fight with dignity. And maybe with extra chili." The public hearing was held in the community hall, decorated with banners that looked suspiciously sponsored by Mr. Gao. Neighbors, journalists, and curious strangers filled the seats. Mei Lin acted as if she were producing a television drama, whispering strategies to Zhang. Mr. Gao spoke first, promising jobs, modern buildings, and a future that sounded shiny but tasteless. Applause followed like trained birds. Then An stepped forward. She was wearing her simple apron, holding a thermos of soup as if it were a sacred weapon. "This restaurant is not an obstacle," she said, voice trembling yet clear. "It is a memory of who we are." She poured small cups for the audience, letting them taste while she spoke about her mother, about nights of failure, about how flavors could hold families together. Zhang photographed her not as a model but as a miracle. Murmurs spread through the hall. Even some of Gao's supporters looked confused, betrayed by their own tongues. When it was Zhang's turn to speak as the photographer of the feature, he surprised everyone including himself. "I came here looking for a story," he said. "Instead I found a home I didn't know I needed." And looked at him with shock that slowly melted into something softer, more dangerous. The committee postponed the final decision, which in political language meant, "We are afraid of angry citizens." Outside, people gathered around and, thanking her, asking for more soup, for more hope. For a moment victory tasted real. That evening the restaurant celebrated with a simple meal. Mr. Lin toasted with tea, Mei Lin toasted with dramatic compliments, and neighbors toasted with anything they could hold. After everyone left, An and Zhang cleaned in comfortable silence. She suddenly stopped and faced him. "Why did you say that today?" she asked. "About finding a home." He felt his well-prepared jokes evaporate. "Because it's true," he answered. Their eyes argued, confessed, and hesitated all at once. The space between them became thin again, fragile like sugar glass. Before either could cross it, a stone crashed through the window, carrying a note wrapped around it: "Stop the circus or the next message will burn." The celebration died instantly. Fear returned wearing a cruel mask. Jean picked up the stone with shaking hands and stared at the broken glass reflecting the lantern lights like wounded stars. The war was far from over. And love, standing in the middle, suddenly felt terribly unsafe. The broken window of Luo's kitchen looked like a wounded eye staring at the future. The stone with its ugly message lay on the table as if proud of its cruelty. For the first time since Xiao Zhang arrived at this restaurant, silence felt louder than any shouting customer. Lin swept the glass with steady hands, too steady, the kind of steadiness that usually hides storms. "They want us to be afraid," she said. "Congratulations to them," Jean answered, trying to sound brave. "I'm terrified." She almost smiled, then stopped herself, as if happiness had become a dangerous habit. The police came, asked questions, wrote notes that looked too small to hold such big worries. Mr. Lin insisted the restaurant would still open tomorrow. "A soup that fears stones is not worth boiling," he declared, coughing proudly. Mei Lin suggested turning the incident into publicity. "Sympathy is a powerful ingredient," she said. And refused immediately. "We cook with dignity, not pity." That night Jean couldn't sleep. He imagined flames instead of lanterns, bulldozers instead of customers. Most of all he imagined Anne standing alone in the ruins of her family dream. He realized then that his feelings were no longer a shy visitor, they had moved in permanently without paying rent. The next morning a miracle arrived disguised as ordinary people. Neighbors gathered outside the restaurant, bringing flowers, handwritten posters, even new glass for the window. Someone started a social media campaign called #SaveLuoKitchen, and by noon journalists were again knocking at the door, this time as allies. Mr. Gao responded with a final attack, an inspection team claiming the restaurant violated several health codes. They searched every corner like hunters chasing an innocent animal. Jean followed them with his camera, recording everything, his hands trembling between fear and anger. When they demanded to see the secret recipe as proof of ingredients, and refused. "It belongs to our family, not to your documents," she said. The argument grew sharp until Mr. Lin slowly walked in from the back room, carrying the old notebook. The restaurant became quiet as a temple. "For years people thought this book held magic," he said. But the magic was never in the pages. He opened it and showed the last blank sheet. "The recipe is incomplete because life is incomplete. Each cook must finish it with their own heart." He handed the notebook to Anne. "Today you finish it." Tears rolled down her face while she began to cook the soup in front of everyone, inspectors, neighbors, journalists, and one very nervous photographer. Jean watched her movements, recognizing the courage hidden in every slice of ginger. When the soup was ready, she served the inspectors first. The leader tasted it with professional suspicion. Seconds passed like slow drums. "It meets all standards," he finally admitted, clearly annoyed by his own honesty. Applause erupted. Outside, more supporters arrived, turning the street into a festival of resistance. Mr. Gao, realizing the tide had changed, left with a smile too tight to be real. That evening, exhausted but victorious, the restaurant closed early. Mr. Lin declared he would retire properly this time and travel to see the sea he had ignored for decades. Mei Lin promised a second article titled, "Love Tastes Better Than Money." Only Jean and Anne remained to clean the last bowls. "So," she said, pretending to focus on a stubborn stain, "the hero photographer saved the day." "I only pressed buttons," he replied. "You saved everything." She looked at him then, truly looked, without walls or jokes between them. I was afraid you would leave after the story ended, she confessed. The story didn't end, Zhang answered. It just changed chapters. The distance returned, small, fragile, familiar. This time no door creaked, no stone flew, no editor appeared like a thunder goddess. There was only the quiet breathing of two people tired of pretending. Zhang gathered all the courage he had borrowed from movie heroes and real-life idiots. Linen, he said, I came here searching for a recipe. I found you instead. And I'm terribly, hopelessly, unprofessionally in love with you. For a long second she said nothing. He prepared his heart for elegant destruction. Then she laughed, the warm bright laugh he had collected in secret photographs. You're late, she said. I started falling during the onion disaster. She stepped closer, leaving the stain victorious on the table, and kissed him with the confidence of someone finally finishing a long, difficult dish. Outside, the new glass window reflected two silhouettes and the glowing sign of Luo's kitchen, standing proudly against the night. Months later the restaurant continued to thrive. And added a new line at the end of the recipe book. Final ingredient, the person who makes you brave. Zhang opened a small photography corner inside the restaurant, arguing that art should pay rent with noodles. Tourists came for the legendary soup, but many stayed because they sensed something warmer than flavors, a story still being cooked every day. And whenever someone asked Xiao Zhang how he learned to love cooking, he always answered the same way. I didn't fall in love with a recipe. I fell in love in a kitchen. With a girl who taught me that hearts, like soup, taste better when shared.